In this video, I'm going to walk you through some key metrics inside in Google Ads to help you understand how successful your Google Ads campaigns actually are. I'm going to walk through the column setup that we use, including some key differences between important metrics that you need to know that help you interpret success or failures on Google Ads. If you're not reading the right metrics, you're not making the right decisions. So let's start by talking about some key general metrics that you're going to see inside in Google Ads. So when you go into your campaigns in Google Ads, you're going to see something like this. You're going to have your campaigns all down here on the left-hand side, and then you're going to have a series of columns with different metrics. The good thing about Google Ads, like most ad platforms, you can alter these columns as you see fit to include certain metrics, to exclude others, to put them in such an order that makes sense for you to see how well your campaigns are performing. So first of all, we're going to start with impressions. How many times someone saw your ad. Next up is clicks. This is another obvious one. How many times someone clicked your ad. And that moves on to our first really important metric, which is CTR. Click-through rate. But click-through rate is the number of people who clicked on your ad relative to everyone who saw your ad. So to calculate that number, what we're going to do is we're going to take this figure here, and we're going to divide it by this, and that is going to give us a figure of 25% in this instance. So about 9,000 clicks from just over 35,000 people who saw our ad. That gives us a click-through rate of 25.3%. Now, for different campaign types, good click-through rate is going to be higher or lower. You're going to see campaign types like branded campaigns that I mentioned in previous videos have really high click-through rates. Other campaigns, like your shopping campaigns, might have a much lower click-through rate, like 1%. There's no set benchmark that anything should be geared against. We generally say search campaigns, if you're targeting non-branded terms, you want to be seeing at least a 7 to 8% click-through rate. Your shopping campaigns should be about a 1% click-through rate. You'll see display campaigns be lower than that. So it's not a metric in isolation that can determine if you're being successful or not, but it is an important metric to be looking at in terms of trends, particularly with your search campaigns. These are the ones that I will really place a lot of emphasis on reviewing our click-through rate, seeing how many people who are viewing our ad are actually clicking through in it. So next up is cost. So how much your campaign has spent over your desired time frame. So you might have a filter set up for 30 days, for 60 days, for 1 day, 1 week. In this instance, this campaign has spent just over $6,000. This campaign, 557. This campaign, almost 3,000, 8,000. Next up is conversion value divided by cost. And this is what most people will know as ROAS. So basically how much conversion value you've gotten back for your ad spend. So this will be a metric like 16 or 3.8 or 3.89x is what a lot of people will refer to it as. So it's basically for how many dollars spent, how many dollars did you get back in purchase value. Next up is your cost per conversion or your cost per acquisition. Next up is your total number of conversions. So how many conversions and what is the value of those conversions. So if you're an e-commerce business, you might have a total of say 1,200 conversions, 1,200 purchases, and then the value of said purchases will be 100,000 as in this instance. Next up is a really important concept in Google Ads, and it's all about conversion lag, and it's the time taken between the ad click and the purchase. So I'm just going to gloss over these two metrics for now, and I'm going to explain them in a little bit more detail in just a second. Next up though is average CPC, which stands for cost per click. So every time someone clicks on your ad, what is the average cost that you're paying for that click? So 68 cents in this instance, $2.15 in this instance. And lastly, here we have conversion rate. So of the people who clicked through, how many of those completed your desired conversion action? And if you're an e-commerce business, this is likely going to be a purchase. So of all the people who clicked through, how many of those made a purchase? So 14% here, you can see 4.3% here, down to 0.73% down in this bottom campaign. Next up, let's talk about conversion lag. So you will have seen when I go back here, two different columns that look very, very similar. So conversions and conversions by conversion time. And you'll also have conversion value and conversion value by conversion time. So what does this mean? Well, when we look at conversions or conversion value, we're reporting conversions by the date of the ad interaction. But when we're looking at conversions by conversion time, or alternatively conversion value by conversion time, we are reporting conversions by the date the conversion actually happened. So when the purchase happened. This is when the ad click happened. This is when the purchase happened. By default, Google will credit conversions to the date the ad click occurred. The time difference between conversions and conversions by conversion time, is known as conversion lag. So this is the difference in time, be it days, between the date of the ad interaction, and for simplicity's sake, let's say this is a click and let's say this is a conversion. Conversion lag refers to the difference in time between when an ad was clicked and when a purchase took place. So let's run through an example of this. Our example here is a customer clicks on a search ad on the 1st of July. They don't buy, so they bounce off the site, but then they buy a product for $40 on the 4th of July, so 3 days later. We have our different columns here. So conversions, conversion value, conversions by conversion time, conversion value by conversion time. So it's all seeming very confusing for now, but hopefully this example will help to clear it up. We're going to take here as the 1st of July. So we know that on the 1st of July up here, the customer clicks. We know they later come back and purchase, but we know on the 1st they click the ad. When they come back and purchase, the first thing to note is that a conversion has taken place. But when does Google give credit to this conversion? But by default, it's going to give credit to the conversion on the day the ad was clicked. That day we know to be the 1st of July. So when we look at these columns, these metrics here, on the 1st of July, we're going to see one conversion for $40. But when we look at conversion by conversion time, we're going to see 0. And the reason we're going to see 0 is because this purchase didn't actually occur on the 1st of July. It occurred on the 4th of July. So contrary to that, when we go to the 4th of July, conversions is going to read 0 because they didn't click on the ad on the 4th. They maybe came through organically or through Facebook or something like that. And that lends itself to all sorts of discussion around attribution and things. But for now, we're going to focus on this key metric and conversion lag, and we'll skip attribution for a little bit of time. But conversions are going to be 0. Obviously, conversion value then is also going to be 0. But our column, which reports on conversions by conversion time, is going to read 1 because we had one conversion occur on the 4th of July, and that conversion value by conversion time is going to read 40. So if we're looking at a week's worth of data where the 1st of July and the 4th of July are included in that week, we may not notice this difference. But the difference occurs when you start to dig a little deeper. And obviously, if you're running Google Ads, you're not just hoping that there's going to be one conversion at any given time, you're hoping to have multiple. And in that instance, then you'll see much more of a profound effect. And that effect is going to be greater when your conversion lag tends to be greater. So for businesses that have a slightly longer sales cycle, it might not be a very impulsive purchase. There's going to be a long consideration phase, let's say 14, 21 days. In that instance, you're going to see a very profound effect when it comes to conversion lag. Next up are what we call competitive metrics. And there are 5 of them that I am going to focus on. So these are all going to be reported in percentage form. So the first and the most important one to understand really is search impression share. So how often did our ad serve relative to all of the times it could have served? So if we look at this example here, our ad served 88.75% of the time when it could have served. So it didn't serve 11.25% of the time. The next up is search absolute. That stands for absolute top impression share. And this is the percentage time your ad served as the very first ad on the search engine results page. So in the first position, so up top. And we can see in this example here, once again, we served the ad 88.75% of the time where we could have, and we actually served in the first position 81.5% of the time. So that's the very first position. Slightly confusing then is search top IS. The difference here is that it's not the absolute top. What Google deems to be top versus absolute top is positions 1 to 4 and absolute top is position 1 only. So the percentage time your ad served above the organic results position 1 to 4. So search top here is 87.3% of the time. So we served 88.75%, 87.3% in positions 1 to 4 and 81.57% in positions 1. So there's a delta there of just under 6%, meaning that 6% we served in positions 2, 3 or 4. So we know now that we served 88.75% of the time where we could. But that means then that taking the opposite of that, we didn't serve 11.25% of the times whereby we could have. And we lost that impression share. That's the language we used. Impression share lost. So search lost impression share. And there's 2 reasons that we can lose impression share on Google Ads. The first is because of our rank and the second is because of budget. So search lost IS rank. It sounds very confusing, but it just means the percentage time we missed out serving an ad based on our ad rank. And then search lost IS budget means the percentage of time that we missed out serving an ad based on our budget. So if we were limited by budget for the day, we couldn't go over that budget and that meant we couldn't serve an ad on that occasion. And logic says that if we can only be limited by either our rank or our budget, well then this figure and this figure should equate to the total number of times that we couldn't serve an ad. So to make sense of that, our search impression share, we served an ad 88.75% of the time, meaning that we didn't serve an ad 11.25% of the time. That 11.25% of the time here is made up of 10% loss due to rank and just over 1% loss due to budget. So let's move on to keyword metrics next. So when we click into a search campaign, for example, we'll see our keywords. And once again, we'll see some of those general metrics or KPIs that I mentioned: clicks, click-through rate, average CPC, our cost, our conversions, conversion value divided by cost, which is ROAS, cost per conversion, conversion rate. All those are ones that we mentioned earlier, but they're just reported on a keyword level, which is great. It's very useful information for us. But the new metrics that I'm going to discuss are specific to keywords. They are 1, quality score; 2, expected click-through rate; 3, landing page experience; and 4 is ad relevance. And basically this, your expected CTR, your landing page experience, and your ad relevance will actually all give you this quality score number here. So quality score is basically Google's representation of how well you're scoring across these really important metrics when it comes to your campaigns. And it is marked out of 10, with 10 obviously being the highest. So the higher you can get this quality score, the better your ads are deemed by Google, and we'll talk about the rewards that Google gives as such in a moment. So you'll see that these metrics here, these three, you will either get a score of above average, average, or we're not showing up here, but you can also get below average. And how high above or at or below average these three metrics are will dictate what your overall quality score is. So expected CTR is how likely Google deems your ad to be clicked by a user relative to another ad in the auction. Your landing page experience is quite self-explanatory. How quick it is really important. The general user experience, how relevant your landing page is to both the query and your ad, your keyword, and things like that. And then ad relevance is how linked your keyword and your ad copy really is. So again, you can see the importance that Google is placing on relevance here. So not just having a really clear ad relevance, but also a landing page relevance as well. And then expected click-through rate is kind of the same, because if your ad isn't relevant, well, then people aren't going to click on it. So if we are losing out because of ad rank, so before I discuss this, if we're losing out because of budget, well, then we know that we need to increase our budget. But quite often what I'll see is we're losing out because of ad rank. And if we're losing out because of ad rank and we're losing out because of budget, I would always start by fixing ad rank first, because that means if we're losing out because of ad rank, we can probably be more efficient. We can make our ads better and we can make our budget go further. Whereas if we just increase our budget, we're still kind of inefficient and it's not the best approach to follow. So always try to increase ad rank first. So ad rank is a factor of two things. So I've mentioned in previous videos how much of a weighting Google places on creating a really relevant ad experience for its user. It determines that, or determines how well someone is trying to achieve that using their quality score grading. So quality score, as I mentioned, ad relevance, so how relevant your ad itself is compared to the user's query and the keyword. Landing page experience, so not just relevance on the landing page, but things like speed and general user experience. Low bounce rate, things like that. So high engagement on site helps with this score. And obviously, look, if you are running any sort of paid media, you want to have a really good landing page experience regardless. And then expected CTR, so how well are you competing in the auction in terms of click-through rate? So if there's 4 ads, you're one of them, your competitors are 3 others, how likely is someone to click on your ad as opposed to someone else? And a lot of that depends on your offer, your positioning, the level of urgency you're creating in your ad copy, how well your ad is written in general. So they are your 3 key metrics which will determine your overall quality score. So that's where I'm going to start. If we're losing out because of ad rank, I'm going to go to quality score and make sure that we're doing everything we can across these 3 verticals: expected CTR, landing page experience, and ad relevance. If we're doing everything we can, well, then we can't really improve quality score much more. So if we want to be more competitive in the auction, we need to bid more. There's only 2 ways you can improve your ad rank. You can either be more relevant, Google will reward you, or you can just pay that premium. Google will also reward you. But you really, if you're an e-commerce business, you're looking to protect your margins, you're looking to make your ad dollars go as far as humanly possible, start here, start with quality score, and then move on to bid only when you've done everything you can to maximize this part of the graph. So your bid is your cost per click. So either if you're running manual CPC bidding, so where you choose the exact bid or the maximum bid that you're willing to pay for a keyword, in that instance you can raise that. It gives Google more of an allowance to be more aggressive in the auction, so you can serve more often. Or if you're running more of an automated bid strategy, say you're running on target ROAS, you have it set to maybe 400%, well, then if you want to increase your bid, you need to give Google more flexibility. So you might have to lower that target ROAS to 350% or 300%, and that will allow Google then to bid more aggressively, ultimately increasing your CPC and increasing your ad rank. Next up are your video metrics. So for a lot of people starting out on Google Ads, these aren't something that you need to be as worried about. But if you do go into a video, if you want to look at a particular asset, for example, again, you'll see either at the ad group level or at the ad level, all these key metrics. So as I said, conversions, conversion value, ROAS, conversion rate, your CTR. So how many people clicked through your video ad relative to those who actually viewed it, your cost, again, your average cost per click. So then the next one I want to focus on, average CPC. This is your average cost per click. So every time someone clicks on your video, how much are you paying for that click? Next up is your average CPM. And if you're running Facebook ads, you'll be very familiar with CPM. It's cost per melee or cost per 1,000 impressions. And the last one then is views. So average CPV is your cost per view. Now, a view and an impression is slightly different. I won't get into the exact technicalities of it now. It's very much dependent on the type of video campaign that you're running. Certain campaign types require 30 seconds of watch time to be deemed a view, or if it's less than a 30-second video, it's got to be watched through to completion. There isn't an umbrella term to classify a view. It's very much dependent on the campaign type. But just know for now that a view is higher level of engagement than an impression. And then your view rate is what percent of people who saw your ad, so seeing an ad is an impression, and actually engage with it long enough to be counted as a view. So you can actually see this at the campaign type, so in stream or the video type, in feed and shorts. So 28% of people who saw our ad in stream viewed it, 19% who saw it in feed viewed it. You then have your video play to time. So what percentage of people watched? 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. What was our total watch time? And then we can see what was our average watch time per impression. So when someone saw our ad, on average, how long were they watching for in seconds? That's our total number of views. And then our average impression frequency per user. So how many times is someone seeing our ad relative to the time window that we've chosen? So in this instance, it's 1.5 times. So the number of times an individual saw your ad. So again, remembering that impressions are seeing, views are more so engaging, at least to a higher level than impressions most of the time, depending on the video campaign. And then obviously cost per click or clicking is quite self-explanatory. And then lastly, I want to speak briefly on custom columns. Again, if you're new to Google Ads, this might be a step too far, but if you're intermediate or if you are looking for a slightly more granular level of reporting or understanding for your sake, custom columns can be very, very effective. So if you want to set up custom columns, you'll go to modify your columns and you'll see modify columns for ad groups or campaigns or whatever it is that you've chosen. And you'll see this button here which says plus custom column. You'll be met with this where you're going to name your column, you are going to give it a description, and then you are going to insert a formula here. Now that looks kind of scary. There's loads of maths equations, symbols, etc. So don't worry. I have some of our key columns here that we use, custom columns. So I think the most important one that I'll use is ROAS by time, and just circling back to conversions by conversion time versus conversions by ad click time, particularly if it is a business that has a longer sales cycle. So if I'm looking at the week just gone by and I'm looking to see what performance was of our campaigns, but I know that we might have had 5,000 clicks during the week, but I know of those clicks, people aren't likely going to purchase for 7 or 14 or 21 days. So if I read that data right away, I might say, okay, performance looks really low. Whereas when I go back retrospectively 2 or 3 weeks later and I look at that same data, well, it's actually populated because all of these people have actually gone through and completed a purchase. So we need to be looking at not just at conversions in real time, but also conversions by conversion time. And we already have those metrics available to us, but we want to see the ROAS by time. So we want to go a step deeper. So to do that, we go conversion value by conversion time divided by cost. So the formula is the same. We just have to take this here as our formula. Then you can break things up into mobile and desktop. You can see this at a more granular level when you go into ad groups and devices and things like that. But sometimes I like to set this up if we are targeting specific devices more aggressively than others, or I just want to be able to see it right away when I go into an ad account. So I'll be able to see mobile conversion rate versus desktop conversion rate. Once again, these are the formulae here. Same applies mobile ROAS versus desktop ROAS. Once again, we can see the formulae here and here. And lastly, another really useful one is to see our average spend. Generally, if I'm looking at something over a 30 or a 60-day time horizon and I want to maybe compare it to previous time gone by, it's good to see what we're spending on average per day in that time period, as opposed to if I'm looking at 30 days or, it can be easier on a 30-day level to get an average. But if I want to look back over the last 7 days, what have we spent? And I'm doing mental maths to get, however, 2.5K divided by 7 in my head. And it's probably not as accurate as just seeing what our average spend was per day over that set time period. So this is just something, it's just convenient for me. It means you don't have to get the the mental maths out or don't have to get the calculator out. It doesn't add a whole lot of value other than it can just be slightly more time efficient. I can see what way we're trending in terms of spend quite easily, and it's something that I'll use in a lot of our accounts as well. So these are the custom columns we use. I'll drop all these formulae in the description below. You'll be able to just drop them right in to your custom columns following the instructions here. It can be quite useful. The one I use most often, as I said, is ROAS by time. So that's basically everything you need to know about custom columns. Mess around with them, see what columns you like. I always set my columns up in the same order. It makes it much easier for me to understand things. I do it in what I deem to be a logical order. It makes sense to me. Go mess around, see what you like, see what the most important KPIs are for you. Make sure they're included so you can see right away when you log into Google Ads how well each campaign is doing, how well each keyword is doing, your video assets, things like that. And the more you mess around with it, the more familiar you'll get. You'll be able to find loads of different custom columns online specific to your business goals. It's really powerful, really useful, and I definitely would recommend messing around with it. And knowledge is power. Custom columns and columns in general give you that knowledge. They help with decision making, so you don't have to dig deep into the data to find out things at a high level. It's there in front of you when you log into Google Ads. Hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you at the next one.